Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening to the listening public, the wonderful people here on my beloved island of Nevis, those who are there in Sugar City, St. Kitts, those who are listening across the Caribbean, those who are home, revelers, people who have come home for Culturama 52. Welcome and good evening to you. Good evening to all of you who are listening from the diaspora, those in the United States and Canada, those, of course, who are across the pond in the United Kingdom. We have listeners really from all across the globe who, through the miracle of the internet, can tune in and listen to this little program. I keep reminding myself that notwithstanding that I'm in a little room and a studio in a little island called Nevis, that my voice is going out potentially to millions of people, because once it's on the internet, it's there for life, they say. And not only that, but obviously once we are speaking, then people can listen. And some people say that they listen often, others listen intermittently. But whether you're a regular listener or not, I'm grateful that you're here, and I'm grateful that you've made On the Mark part of your Wednesday evening. We are in the height of Culturama here on Nevis, and I just want to send kudos and a shout out to Minister Eric Evelyn and his team. I had tonight decided to spend some time talking about Culturama, so I'm hopeful that at some point we can get into that. And Minister Evelyn, if he's out there, I know he's busy. This is the time of year when he's being called upon morning, noon and night. But I want to commend him, Swain Evelyn, the entire team there. They do their job oftentimes with a lot of criticism. Everybody in Nevis, if we know Nevisians, we know that all Nevisians are experts, and many of us are experts in everything. And so everybody has an opinion. That's just the way it is. And many people who are not shy about voicing their opinion, but when you say, well, come and help, they head for the hills. They run in the opposite direction. So we have a lot of people who are loud, who are opinionated, but when it comes to actually rolling up their sleeves and saying, well, let me lend my talent, let me lend my skills, let me put my opinions into work, they disappear. So it is an ongoing struggle that we have, that the work is plentiful but the hands are few. And that tends to be the nature, I think, in so many societies where we have a lot of armchair critics. We have a lot of people who are playing cricket from the pavilion. And that happens in politics, it happens in business, it happens for Culturama, it happens in everything that we do. I think that what we must do is continue to encourage our people, not just to be an armchair critic, not just to be a cricketer from the pavilion, but to get involved, to really get involved, to lend your talent, to lend your skills, and to make your opinions and your concerns that they are constructive. Too many times, we engage in destructive commentary. We need to really switch up and engage in constructive commentary, because that allows us to become better. And there are some people, and I've noticed them, because they don't say a thing on social media. Every year around Culturama they come alive, and it's always one song, one criticism after another. That's all that they come to offer. But yet they will end every post, every statement by saying how much they love Culturama. It's almost laughable. It's almost laughable. It's like you have a child and you beat that child every day, and then when you finish the beating you say, I love you. If you love Culturama, then show that you love Culturama and get involved. You can't say you love Culturama and encouraging people to boycott culture. You can't say you love Culturama and then because of whatever little money issue here or there, you said, I'm not participating, I'm going to boycott. That's not love of Culturama. That is putting yourself above everything else. And I just feel that sometimes we need to take a step back, leave some of the emotions out of these things, and just really look at what it is we're doing, and accept the reality that absent our engagement, we will have no Culturama. It's as simple as that. It is really as simple as that. And the government can only do so much. There are people out there who decide they will not participate, whether it's because of politics or it's because of some personal grouse. But at the end of the day, absent participation, there is no Culturama. And it's just, quite frankly, that's what it is. So we have to make a decision as to whether or not this thing that we call culture, this unique Nevisian experience, is worthwhile, whether or not it's worth preserving, whether or not it makes sense for us to continue to preserve it, to work at it, to improve it. And that is really a collective decision. It should be one of the things that unites us, really. because Culturama is really not the property of anybody. It doesn't belong to CCM, it doesn't belong to NRP, it doesn't belong to government, it doesn't belong to opposition, it doesn't belong to the church, it belongs to all of us. And so it behooves us to get involved. And so I will leave that for the moment, but so far I'm told that the shows have gone well, and that we are optimistic that this weekend we'll continue to have the shows. I know we have a big show in terms of the Soca Monarch, we have the Kaipsa show, we have the Queen show, we have the food fair, of course, that everybody looks forward to. And so we anticipate that the rest of the season will be good. I'm just asking again our people to be responsible. If you're out in your partying, please to drink responsibly. If you're on the road, to drive responsibly, and at all points to conduct yourselves responsibly. Please leave the weapons at home. Let us have an incident-free Culturama. Let us really have an event that we all could be proud of at the end of the day. But we are in the middle of things, and so I invite everyone to please go out and enjoy yourself. The village is open, the bars and restaurants all across the island are open, the complex is open, the Nidax complex, and you have a great opportunity just to go out and have some fun with your friends and your families. There's so many people who are here on the island. I look forward to continuing to see them and to engage with them, and so we really look forward to that. Now, ladies and gentlemen, on Monday we had a vigil that was organized by the Guyanese community here on Nevis, and that vigil was to remember those who have tragically lost their lives on the MV Barima. This is a vessel that sunk in Guyana on a trip that was being taken internally and would have sunk, and many people would have perished. It has raised a lot of questions. It has also raised anxiety, even here in St. Kitts and Nevis, because people remember instinctively the 1970 disaster, which was the Christina disaster. Incidentally, on the 1st of August, as always, we will be having the memorial service for the Christina disaster right at the Christina Memorial in town. And so I'm extending an invitation to one and all to come out and for us to just be together and remember those who would have perished, whilst we also remember those who survived. One of the things that impressed me about the vigil that was organized on Monday is that really this was the Guyanese community that did it, and we would have gone to show our support. I'm very happy that I believe nearly all the members of the cabinet, certainly members of the CCM party, were there in their numbers to show their solidarity. I was equally happy to see that some members of the opposition were also in attendance. I think it's important that we show our friends, our brothers and sisters from around the region, that when they're here, that they are a part of us, that we welcome them, and that their pain is our pain, their tragedy is our tragedy. And we really are quite famous here in Nevis for our hospitality and how we welcome people. And I felt that night that we really showed the best of Nevis, because here was government, opposition, everyone. We were there, and we were there with a singular purpose of saying to these people from our neighboring islands, saying to our Guyanese brothers and sisters that we empathize with you, we understand what you're going through, and we stand in solidarity with you. So I really want to again echo those sentiments, again to extend condolences to the Guyanese community here, those in the diaspora, those back home in Guyana, and basically to say to them that we are truly, truly devastated by this loss. Some of the stories are really heart-wrenching, and we are hopeful that those who mourn find comfort. We're also hopeful that those who survive, that they would get the necessary counseling that they will need if they are ever to have normal lives again. Now, that was something when the Christina sank, I'm told, was never offered to the survivors. And many people, I would imagine, would have had that ongoing trauma all of their lives. So I'm hopeful that the government and people of Guyana will understand that right here from Little Nevis, we send our love and we send our prayers. So, ladies and gentlemen, there's quite a bit that's going on, and I was just sort of thinking today whether or not having the show during Culturama And then somebody said to me, well, you know, On the Mark is so much part of the culture now that we really should have the show and continue with the show. And so we will continue. We are here tonight from 8 to 10 p.m. as usual. We will open the lines at some point and allow you to call in and share your views and opinions. As we look at the landscape of what's happening, we see that the war in Iran has resumed after a very tentative peace that did not hold, and that the U.S. again is launching strikes on Iran. The Strait of Hormuz, that critical artery, is again closed off, and that of course causes tremendous pain for all of us in terms of increased fuel costs, increased shipping costs, increased insurance costs, and ultimately an increase in the cost of living. And so we are having to pay the price for decisions that are being taken elsewhere, and that is something that unfortunately countries have to deal with, and larger countries than St. Kitts and Nevis are being forced to deal with it in a similar fashion. The best result would be for an end to that war. The best result would be for a resumption of normalcy in terms of normal trade and shipping through the Strait of Hormuz. Whether we'll get there, we don't know. It is outside our control. And so we just have to continue to do the best that we can with the resources that we have. And we continue to encourage our people to conserve electricity, to do the best that they can to reduce their consumption, because of course the cost has gone up and gone up tremendously for some people. So we are urging you to continue to conserve. Speak to NEVLEC if you're having difficulties. Get a payment plan if you're having difficulties. This is a difficult period, and let us work through it together. And so that is what we are hoping can happen. But it is indeed a difficult situation, not just here in St. Kitts and Nevis, but across the Caribbean and globally, because, of course, of the Strait of Hormuz choking off a lot of the oil that would normally flow through that strait. And it's not just oil, it's also fertilizer, it's also petroleum products. And so we're having a knock-on effect, and some even have been saying that the agricultural sector, food security is going to be threatened, because a lot of people need that fertilizer for the planting season, and that fertilizer is also being choked off. So this is sometimes why I say to our people through this show and through every opportunity that I have, that we must pay attention to what's happening in the world. A lot of us sometimes feels like, well, this is far away. It doesn't bother us. It doesn't involve us. No bombs are falling here, so it doesn't affect us. The truth is that the world now is so interconnected that even these disputes, which are thousands of miles away from us, will ultimately affect us all. And that is why we have to pay attention. We have to pay close attention. We have to understand what is going on in the world. And sometimes I hear the rhetoric here, because, you know, talk is cheap. So people say, oh, the government needs to bring down the cost of living, the government needs to do this and the government needs to do that. As if any government in these small countries could control things like the escalating price of fuel. As if you can control things like the escalating price of food, insurance, shipping costs. Government of St. Kitts and Nevis doesn't own any ships. I don't know any government in the Caribbean that owns ships. Insurance rates, all of these are factors. And so I just urge our people sometimes to just let us have a mature conversation about these matters. Where we can, let us do what we can. But no government, even the great United States of America, people are crying out for the rising cost of living. We have to try our very best to manage the resources that we have, and to try our very best not to be wasting resources, to do what we can with what we have, and to try and weather this particular period in our history. I don't think where we are now is the end of our story. I don't think where we are now is the place that we are going to end up. I feel that where we are now is a test of our character. It is certainly a problematic period, but I believe that together we can get through this. And so I continue to urge our people to be hopeful, to be prayerful, and to let us hope that peace can reign in the world, because if peace reigns, we get a peace dividend. And I think that that's rather important. Now let me move on to some exciting news. I would have last week spoken about the coming of the new dialysis center to the people of Nevis. I've heard, of course, the usual naysayers. I mean, they're programmed. So once you say something is happening in Nevis that is positive, they will find something negative to say. I'm not concerned about them. My job is not to kick at every barking dog. My job is to take Nevis up the hill. And that's where we're going, up the hill. Some are pushing, some are pulling, some are sitting on the wagon. And some are trying their best to pull the wagon back down the hill. Well, I believe that those who are patriots are pushing and pulling that wagon up the hill as best as they can, and that is what I'm doing. I'm the lead puller, I'm the lead pusher. That's what I'm doing, getting the wagon up the hill. And when you're focused on the job at hand, you don't have time. You don't have time. You must ignore the noise. You can't kick at every barking dog. When they yap, 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 you just keep moving. Because if you stop to take on all of that noise, you're going to miss the mission, and the mission is to get Nevis up the hill. So that is what I'm working on. Some people say, oh, you should answer Tom and answer Dick and answer Harry. No. A lot of times Tom, Dick and Harry are not even working anywhere. They're allergic to work. Their job is to tell you to put them in government, because they feel that if they get into government, they then have the right to make decisions for you and to collect whatever they can, because in their eye, the prize is in Nevis Treasury. That's all. Not one idea, not one suggestion. And they have not done anything in their lives which would suggest to you that they could run Nevis. Nothing. At everything that most of them have touched, they have failed. Their only success in life thus far has been failure. And yes, we understand that once there's life, there's hope. So we are hoping that some of them may still find success, may still do something. But simply sitting down and criticizing and cussing people all day is not a solution for the people of Nevis. It's not a remedy for the high cost of living, or the high cost of fuel, or the high cost of electricity. It's not a remedy for healthcare or education, advancing those. It is not a remedy for fixing roads. It is not a remedy for anything. It is just an exercise in folly and futility. So I don't have time for that. The people have elected me and my team to lead Nevis, and they want better for Nevis. And so whether it's roads, whether it's water, whether it's electricity, whether it's healthcare, as in the dialysis center, whatever it is, housing, our job is to make life better for the people of Nevis. And on that mission, I can assure the people of Nevis, I am singularly focused. Singularly focused. I don't have time for distractions. When my lines open on a Wednesday, some call in, and there are distractions, because they know that some of the things they're saying, maybe somebody send them something, write it on a piece of paper, give it to them, tell them, call in on the mark and read it. They don't understand it themselves, so many times they can't really explain it to you or I either. But we understand. In a democracy, voices have to be heard. It doesn't mean that in a democracy you have to study every voice. It doesn't mean you have to respond to every voice. But we understand that people have the freedom to voice their views. And we respect that. And we learn from each other where we can. But for some who are just programmed, and I could tell you, if I were to come tonight and say, good news, everybody in Nevis will get $1 million, I assure you, somebody's going to call in and have a problem with that. Because that is just the nature of some of us. We are programmed to be negative. We've lived our lives that way, and that is just who we are. I am about positivity and moving the island forward. So the dialysis center is coming. Again, go on record to thank Olivia Jensen and Destiny, because that was one of the benefits to the island that we negotiated with them, and I'm very grateful that even though they have not yet had their project approved, that dialysis center is almost finished. It is well underway, and I'm very, very happy that that has been the case, and that we can deliver that after years of talking about it and backing and forthing on it. We finally have had a donor that has been able to say, listen, I'm going to build, equip, staff, and fund for the next 2 years. I think that was a good deal, and I'm happy that I, as the Premier of Nevis, together with the team in the Cabinet and the Ministry of Health, were able to negotiate that deal for the benefit of the people of Nevis. When I say ignore the noise, when I say you cannot kick at every barking dog, I know what I'm saying. Because the majority of the people who are talking are just talking for talking's sake. I am talking to people who need dialysis. People who have been having to make the journey to St. Kitts and to elsewhere. We currently have 9 dialysis patients. And I can tell you that those that I've had the opportunity to speak to one-on-one are overjoyed. Overjoyed that we finally will have a facility to offer that service to them right here on Nevis. So others out there who want to talk, go ahead and talk, because at the end of the day, this facility is for these people. It reminds me very much of the Destiny Project, which has attracted a lot of heat, but sometimes very little light. I hear people stand up and they say all kinds of things. A classic statement I had was from a good lady in one of the discussions we had. She stood up and she announced, I am ignorant of this project. I don't know a thing about it. And then she went on for 10 minutes to berate the very thing that she said she was ignorant about. And in my response, I said, but most times when you say you're ignorant about something, it is a cue for you to sit down and listen. Nevis is the only place where people jump up and say, tell you that they're ignorant, they don't know what is happening, but they have an opinion. How could you have an opinion if you don't know what is happening? That makes no sense to me. But nevertheless, as I said, all voices must contend, but you can choose which voices you listen to and pay attention to, because some of them is just noise. And that's just the reality of the situation. Now, it reminds me of the lands in the south coast of Nevis. I'm told that the lands over there are owned by several different, almost a couple of hundred landowners, I'm told. Those are the people who own the lands in the south coast. And some have decided to sell for this project. Some have decided that they won't sell for the project. That's a matter for them. It's their private land. They decide what they're going to do. But what I find interesting is that 99% of the people who banging them out about lands in the south don't own any land in the south. 99% of them don't even know where those lands are. But they're staying wherever they are, some abroad, some here, and they're instructing people what they must do with their private property. I don't hear any barrage of calls coming into the radio stations on social media from landowners in the south. Those who have decided to sell their land, that's their decision. Those who have decided they won't sell their land, that's their decision. You have one or two who are making as much noise as possible, but the time will come when the true story will be told, because I am going to say something tonight, you know. A few of those who you're hearing making noise, it's because they did not get the deal that they wanted. Not that they were opposed to any project or they didn't want to sell. Some of them wanted more money. Some of them wanted all the money one time. And in at least 2 instances that I'm aware of, and they're going around making noise, it's because their land is not needed or wanted by the people. Because initially, the buyers were calling different people about land, and then after they started to plan and try to execute in terms of what they're going to do, they change and reconfigure the boundaries of the lands that they were trying to target. And so somebody may have called Mrs. X and said, Mrs. X, I might be interested in your land for sale. Oh, yes, my land is for sale. And then later, because the boundaries have shifted, Mrs. X's land now falls outside the boundary. So nobody's calling Mrs. X anymore because they're no longer interested in Mrs. X's land. Mrs. X then goes on radio and says, I'm opposed to the project. I'm opposed to it. It's a bad project. It wasn't a bad project when your land was in the boundary. It's a bad project now that your land is outside the boundary. You see how life is? People must think for themselves, yeah? And don't take up other people's cudgel. Because some of those who are making the noise, I know one of them is making a whole heap of noise, but he's not telling people that he can't sell any land because he don't control the land. He's just making noise. And so you have some of them, another one of you making noise. When that one spoke to me and he said to me that he doesn't want any deposit and the balance, he wants all his money at once. Well, if that's what you want, that's what you want. But you shouldn't then pretend that you're against the project or you have a problem with the project simply because you did not get all your money at once. And this is the thing I said, that our people have to be aware that you hear a lot of, as I say, noise. It's generating a lot of heat. It's not generating very much light. And what we need in our country is light. We need enlightened conversations. That's what we need. And so going back to the dialysis, the people who are now cussing, they're not dialysis patients. They always saw dialysis as a political football. One person said to me, well, the NRP bought 2 dialysis units. Why didn't you hook them up? And so Nevis could have had dialysis a long time ago. It sounds quite a simple proposition, doesn't it? And I had to explain, in fact, it was during my press conference, that having a dialysis center is not merely having 2 dialysis units, you know. Dialysis is not like a microwave or a refrigerator that you just plug in. In fact, at the time when this issue was hot, there were some people who know better who were saying just plug in the machines. But you know what would have happened? Because if you plug in those machines and something goes wrong, people die. And so here comes Mark Brantley. If I didn't have any sense, and I just went because of politics and plugged in a machine, and then somebody went on that machine, and God forbid, the worst happened, the same people would have turned around and said, Mark Brantley killed so-and-so. And I have always said that we needed a pathway for dialysis. We needed to find a way to pay for it. And so when the time came, and the developers of Destiny said to us, listen, we want to do something for the island. What do you think the island needs? Immediately we went to healthcare, and immediately we went to dialysis. We had the necessary conversations. And we negotiated that they would build, equip, staff, and fund for 2 years. And the argument, therefore, was that within that 2 years, we have enough period to see it at work, look at the costings, and then budget accordingly. We couldn't hook up no 2 machines that NRP brought here. And I remember the saga surrounding those machines. First of all, the price that was paid. Very close to an election. Interesting. That's all I would say. Then, the machines arrived on island on April 1st. Maybe that was an ominous sign that they arrived on All Fools Day. Because the only purpose of those machines was a political gimmick. Was to take some pictures for the election that had just gone. The machines arrived late. So by the time the machines came, the government had changed. But that was it. You cannot, and anybody with good conscience will tell you, you cannot set up a dialysis center if you don't have your water treatment systems, if you don't have your air purification systems, if you don't have your trained hemodialysis nurses, nephrologists, if you don't have your biomedical engineer to deal with the machinery and the equipment and the water purification and the air purification system. I'm told that if that water purification is not done properly, people die. You don't have a building. You don't have the electricity backup with your UPS and all of these bits of equipment that you need to ensure that you have uninterrupted power. None of that. Nobody trained. Nothing in place. But you're saying that a sensible CCM government should have plugged in the 2 machines. Plug them in for what? To kill people? We are supposed to help people. That is our job, to help people. Not to use people's health as some political gimmick. And that is why we took the time. Yes, it has been a long time. But I'm comforted that even though it has been a long time, that every person who has needed dialysis from Nevis, who is being dialyzed on St. Kitts, is doing so with some assistance from my government. We have been doing our very best to partner with them to ensure that they're able to get the treatment that they need. And we will continue to do our very best to ensure that they have access to a first-class facility right here in Nevis. And I'm very happy that I was around the table when those negotiations were had and that we can deliver that project. Very happy that we could do so. And that is just the case. So again, for those out there who want to stay in their armchair, criticize and say all manner of things, all I will say to them is, if God forbid you were to need dialysis, then don't use the dialysis center there. Go Anguilla, go Antigua, go St. Martin, go wherever you want to go. I said to someone recently that when the Destiny project starts, when they have to build roads and bridges, when they start to construct, to have their electricity and water and their sewage treatment and their garbage disposal, when they want to do their marina, when they want to start to build hotels and villas and apartments, and he is so opposed, I said, well, all you do, don't do any work for them. When they advertise and say they want contractors and they want heavy equipment operators and they want truckers, park up your truck, park up your back, or say, I'm not going to do any work for them. And to my mind, that is just how you have to go. You have to build a coalition of the willing. You have to build a coalition of those who are willing to move this island forward. Others will either come along eventually, because many of them is just politics, really. That's all it is. It's just politics. So they'll come along eventually, or they won't. Free country. It's a democracy. I could never forget the opposition that we faced when we tried to build the water taxi pier at Wally. Sometimes I'm there and I'm having difficulty getting on a boat. The pier is full with people, and I look at them and I can remember the things that they had to say, the furious opposition that they posed. We're now wanting to do the airport. Before the airport could be announced properly, they were already over there with placards protesting. What were they protesting? We don't know. So when the airport is finished, what happened? They won't use it. The taxi men who are joining them in making noise, we aren't going to run any taxi from the airport. We just sometimes, as I say, have to focus on building the country. Let us build it, because at the end of the day, nobody can take up that dialysis center once it's built and opened, you know. Mr. Jensen, Destiny, they can't come and put it in a suitcase and take it anywhere. Nobody can take up that airport once it's put down. This is what development is about. Development is about taking decisions to move the island forward. And so I'm delighted to see the progress on that particular project. And I want to publicly thank Mikhail Herbert. We needed this job done. We wanted it to have a dedicated individual, and we assigned Mikhail. And he has delivered in terms of reports and updates. Very happy where we are with that project at this point in time. So I'm hopeful, if God is good to me and He gives me life, that I'll be back in a few months and that we can have a state-of-the-art facility right here on Nevis to serve our people, but also to assist our brothers and sisters in St. Kitts who have been very good to us over the years and allowed us access to the hemodialysis unit at the JNF hospital. Now, while I'm here, let me also give some good news. I was home this evening and I had a conversation with the general manager at Nevlec, Mr. Al Stapleton, whom, let me just say, I feel very proud that he has ascended to that position. It demonstrates what we have been saying as a government, that we must empower our people and give them the opportunity to command the heights in their country. And here's Mr. Stapleton, who has come through the ranks. He was at Skellig. He was here with us. He's now been asked to serve as general manager. I had a good conversation with him this evening, and he brought great joy to my heart. Mr. Stapleton, if you're out there listening, thank you, because he indicated that a significant sum representing the initial payment to the drillers, the Icelandic drilling company, for our geothermal project, that those funds have been dispatched to Iceland. And I feel very, very happy about that, because we had some administrative snafus and holdups. But I'm delighted now to know that those monies that were required, that those monies have been sent. And I'm hopeful that then we're going to really get things moving now in terms of mobilization of equipment and the like. We're still on track, based on what I'm told, to have equipment moving in. We lost a few weeks, but definitely we're hoping to be full steam ahead, full speed ahead after Culturama. So we're going to see movement there this year. We're going to see drill rigs moving in. We're going to see personnel coming on island. And I want again our people out there, our truckers, our heavy equipment operators, because this is yet another opportunity for you to make something. Get ready. Nevis is shortly going to have the geothermal project kicking off. It's going to have the airport project kicking off. It's going to have the Destiny project kicking off. And I speak to our brothers and sisters in St. Kitts. Get ready. Because if there's enough work, come over and get some of that work too. It's one country. I am really, really bullish about what's going on. I'm excited about the possibilities, because I see so much happening on this island. So much that is ready to roll, ready to rumble. And so when I got the news tonight that a significant payment had been made to the drillers, I said, praise be to God. Praise be to God. Because with that payment, they had lead items, long lead items, they had things they had to order. It means that we can be back on track in terms of timing. And so I'm looking forward very much, because I believe that as we see the sun setting on our Citizenship by Investment program in its current form, I believe that this geothermal project and transitioning our economy to an energy-based economy, a renewable energy-based economy, I think that that is the answer. Many people may not share the vision, many people may not see the vision, but I see it clearly that that is the answer. And along the way, we have had hiccups, we've had obstacles, we've had difficulties. And I will not tire in saying thank you to Prime Minister Drew, because he and I sat after he got into office the first week, and this was one of the things that we agreed we will work together to deliver benefits of geothermal for the people of Nevis and for the people of St. Kitts. And if we do this properly, we can deliver the benefits even for people farther afield. And so I definitely look forward to seeing what the future holds in relation to this. But I'm here to say to the public that once monies start to move, everything else moves, and monies have started to move. Praise be to God. So I'm very excited about what I heard tonight, and I am optimistic that we're going to see the movement here on the ground. So again, if you're out there, if you're into heavy equipment, if you're into trucking, get ready. Get ready, because there'll be a lot of business on this island in very, very short order. And that is what you do. That is what builds economies. That is what grows economies. And so I'm hopeful that our people out there will take advantage of these opportunities as and when they come. And even some of the naysayers, don't worry with that. You hear that something is happening good over here, come and be a part of it. Come and be a part of it. And don't allow people to take you out of bread who can't give you a biscuit. Because some of them who are trying to talk you out of bread, they themselves trying to find a biscuit. So, take advantage of these opportunities, Nevis. As a government, that is our effort. Now, I'll say one last thing before I open the lines and see if anybody out there wants to talk to me. And that is to congratulate Mrs. Neva Manners-Limonta. She has moved from the head of Inland Revenue Nevis now to the Senior Assistant Secretary in the Ministry of Finance. And to, at the same time, congratulate Ms. Janisha Daniel, who has been promoted now to the head of Inland Revenue in Nevis. Those appointments are to take effect, I believe, very shortly, the 1st of August. But I want to not just congratulate both young women because they're eminently qualified. They're in the vision, they're qualified, and they deserve every opportunity. But I want to go a bit further because I made the comment in relation to Al Stapleton. And to say to the people of Nevis that if you drown out the noise, you will see that as a government, we have and we continue to promote and to position our people, particularly our young people. I'm passionate about it because all of us at some point in our lives were young people. And we must reflect that if we were not given an opportunity, how would we now get to the point where we are? There are some people in this island, and sadly, including in the politics, and they see young people, it seems to me, as a burden. They see young people as a threat. They're not interested in promoting or advancing any young person. In fact, the former leader of the NRP quite infamously said to the young people in Nevis, the young engineers at Public Works, he said, when you all come back from university, you don't know what you're doing. And to justify giving all the roadworks to a Jamaican company, the leader of Nevis made the argument that he has given Nevis Public Works and the Nevision engineers a job up Brown Pasture to do. He said, I gave them a road in Brown Pasture. Let them go up there to practice, learn how to drive. That was his indictment of his own people. Fast forward, some may say, well, he's an old-fashioned guy. He's no longer there. And I heard in my own ears the deputy leader of NRP, Dr. Patricia Bartlett, who said that she doesn't feel comfortable when she goes up to the Alexandra Hospital and she sees that the doctors up there are young doctors. And she raised the issue to say she doesn't know, maybe they are using Google to treat her. And these are young people who went away, studied, and I reflected that the thing that really bothered me most, that this came from Dr. Bartlett. Dr. Bartlett, just like all of us, comes from humble beginnings and humble circumstances. Her claim to fame is that she was the first female veterinarian here on the island of Nevis. She got the opportunity, she went away, she studied, she came back. Now what would have happened if the government of the day said, girl, you're young, go sit down. Doc, we're sorry, but when you come back from school, you don't know what you're doing. You must go and practice, and learn how to drive. What if that was the attitude? But that was not done to her. She was given every opportunity. As a matter of fact, she became the chief veterinary officer here in Nevis. And even when time came to retire, she called her good cousin Mark Brantley, and I said, of course. 5 extensions, one after the other, after the other, after the other, until I said, well, I've exhausted what the law allows me to do. And when I said to her, I couldn't go any further because I gave you 5 years extra. You have another young veterinary officer there who is poised to take over and to now play his role, because he went away and studied as well. But you all know that's where the falling out come. And Mark Brantley was a nice, decent, loving cousin, became this pariah, this corrupt, this nasty individual. What was my sin? I said, give the young man a chance. And I've given you all the extensions that I can give you. I cannot go any further. Give the young man a chance. Proceed to your retirement. Go open a veterinary office if you want to. A private vet clinic. I'm going to talk some things, you know. Because there's a private vet clinic in Nevis right now. And she was one who fought tooth and nail against the opening of that private vet clinic. Tooth and nail. She even enlisted the assistance of a vet in St. Kitts. Trying to block it. You know why? You know why? Because when people had their little cat and dog to spay and neuter, I hope I'm using the right language, they used to have to take them to the government veterinary office. And there was a fee involved. And so you had some people who were fighting against anybody opening a private veterinary clinic. Not in the interest of the people of Nevis. No, to protect their turf. That's what was happening. You had some who were fighting against progress, and at every step of the way I keep asking our people, pay attention, because when you hear people coming and making the noise, look behind the noise and you will find some self-interest. All of self and none of thee. Today that private veterinary clinic in Nevis is one of the best in the Federation. State-of-the-art equipment, doing excellent work. I spoke to somebody recently who said that he and his family had moved here. I think he said they had moved here from Dubai. And I said, wow, you moved from Dubai to Nevis? He said, yes, we love it here. We bought a home. We've moved. And I said, well, what was it? I like to talk to people. I like to hear. What was it? And he said, the quality of your veterinary care here. We love animals, and the quality of your care was the deciding factor for us. I said, wow. That was fought against, tooth and nail. And that is the thing. So when I heard her, who was given every opportunity by Nevis, then in the winter of her years start to rail against young people, that the doctors at the hospital and she's not comfortable, and we don't do that. Let us encourage, because if people are not given an opportunity, well, good God, how will they ever get to the top? If you keep closing the doors in the faces of our young people. I see a young man, the NRP had their meetings and they decided that the young man would be the candidate against me in the upcoming election. The young man was excited. He had his meetings, he rallied his family, he rallied the troops, and he said he's ready to go. No, I have people embedded in NRP. I know what is going on. So the young man goes now and he's doing his house to house. And the youngster finds himself on a mission doing house to house in Coal Hill. And then one homeowner said to the young man and to the team who's there from the NRP, well, I hear a lot of things. Well, who can be the candidate? And I'm told that Dr. Bartlett said, I will be the candidate. So the young man walk off to know he don't know how he reach home. So devastated and disappointed he was. We can't continue to treat people like that. I remember my good friend, young Bijan Hanley up in Rollins, up in Gingerland. And Bijan went and declared himself and said, I'm the candidate. And one of the Social Security, what do you call him now? Recipient, I don't know if you get in Social Security, but you know, I think he's known as the fellow who was at CFBC during that period when things went badly. They had some daily occurrences there. Went on radio, said not Bijan, no, not Bijan, not Bijan. Cut him down. And then guess what happened? When they couldn't find a candidate, now the same Bijan, they had to go and dust off and say, Lord, we're sorry, come back. We must not treat people like that, especially our young people. So when I talk with pride about how we have promoted, we elevated some young people to positions of principals and things of that nature in the schools. Oh man, they took out a text on them. Made all kinds of salacious allegations in relation to these young people. Many of them are women. Had the most awful things to say. And it betrays a culture that young people must not be given a chance in the country. They must not be given an opportunity. Well, I'm hopeful that through the actions of my government, the public sees the difference. because we continue to promote, we continue to elevate, we continue to say to our young people, listen, you have your qualifications. Once there's a position, we think you're suited for it, we're going to give you that opportunity. And that is the way we've operated. And I want our people to look at that and look at the stark difference. Look at the quality of roads that are being built in Nevis by our engineers, by Danny and Buju and the whole team. Look at the quality of roads. Look at my good friend Kelvin and the team at the asphalt plant and the quality of what they're producing. Look at what we're doing. And answer me this simple question. Could we have achieved that if our attitude as government towards our own people was that when they come back, they don't know what they're doing? And they must go practice, 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 learn how to drive. And that is how we dismissed our own, while we sought to find the excuse to give a foreign company all the work on Nevis. I wish I was making this up and that this was a fairy tale, but it is the lived reality. And so when I talk about what my government has been doing, what my team has been doing in identifying talent and saying to that talent, in saying to that young man who went and studied, you must now become the vet, chief vet. You're qualified, you must be put in that position. Saying to the young people at Inland Revenue, you must step up. You must go up to finance. And I have some other announcements I will be making. The team is meeting. But giving our people that opportunity. If you can't get an opportunity in your own country, then where else will you get the opportunity? And these are just the facts. When I talk to people about politics, I don't need to embellish anything, you know. I don't need to try to tell any lies, because I have the facts and the record, and that's what's beautiful about this thing called politics. You have the record, and you say, here's my record. Let us now look at your record, and let us put them and examine them closely. Here's my life. Let us examine them closely. Let's look, because that is how I think it allows people to make decisions. Not just making noise and cussing people. Everybody could cuss. Cussing easy. I come from Henley Park, Brownhill. Who could cuss more than Brownhill, nigga? Cussing easy, easy, easy. But if that's all you can do, then you really have nothing to offer the people of Nevis. All right. My soliloquy is over. It's Culturama. Let me open the lines. We have about 6 minutes to the hour of 9 o'clock. I'm hoping a lot of people call in. And let's get the show jiggy. It's Culturama time. If you want to sing a song, if you want to call in and talk about the shows, whatever's happening out there, let's get it going. 869-469-1616. 869-469-1700. Now, last week, many people contacted me the next day, or they called me off air and they said they were having a difficulty getting in. They complained that some people were on the line for a long time. Well, this is your opportunity. Do not wait until last minute and then you vex that you couldn't get in with your views. The show is a call-in show. And the numbers to call are 869-469-1616 and 869-469-1700. While we wait for the phones to light up, I just want to reiterate that this is the Culturama season, that all of our people are being asked to go out and to really support what's happening here on the island of Nevis, to go to the shows, to show up. I'm told the Panorama was excellent. I'm told the Mr. Cool and those shows were good shows. Please go out and support the shows and just be a part of Culturama. Culturama is our thing, and it is for us to preserve it. It is for us to promote it. It is for us to make it the best that it can be. Again, the numbers to call. It is 5 minutes to the hour of 9 o'clock. 869-469-1616 and 869-469-1700. Those are the numbers to call, and we invite you to call and to share your views and opinions with us this evening on anything that I've said, or frankly anything that you would want to say, because this is ultimately your show, in the sense that you have access to it where you can call and share your views. Let's go to the phones then and take our first call. Good evening, caller. You're on the mark.
Brantley, good night.
Yes, good evening.
Your best friend is here.
Welcome, my best friend. How are you?
Not bad. We don't want to call you so early, but you see, you got interfere with one of my clients.
Who's your client now?
Dr. Patricia Bartlett.
She's your client?
Yeah.
Where the supplier?
You got interfere. You interfere, and then you say a culture armor, so you can even sing one song, right?
Man, you can sing, you can whatever you want to do.
Oh, yeah. Then say Bartley with the election in the past. But now Dr. Bartlett I go give one good quota. Guys, joke he's making. Yeah, you get that? Anyway.
You could barely talk and you sing worse than you talk. So I mean, no. I believe stick with the talking, yeah? Go ahead.
Then I got a problem. But Brantley,
yes.
Let me deal with one of the little joke that you make tonight, and then I will get to some serious business. You say, if the government should have known, Division $2 million, somebody still going to make nice.
Of course.
Tell me, just give me a little hint. What is somebody going to say for make nice? Go ahead.
Boy, I don't even know. Because sometimes, no, me tell you, sometimes I say, boy, nobody could fight against this, and people find a reason. You know that I announce, listen, we announced one day that we want to extend the airport. And within a day or two, there was a protest. When you ask the people why you're protesting, they can't tell you.
We can't understand about this. But everybody has $1 million. Somebody gonna pay. So who gonna make the nice? Who get the $1 million? Can you say everybody has
Man,
$1 million?
I tell you, even them who get it, here I tell you when them cuss about the water taxi and them use it more than me now. So that is just the nature of things.
Brantley, let me move on.
Yes.
To really serious business now. That unlike moment, right?
Of course.
Yes. Okay. Brantley, you say that you got proof that some of the landowners are because they don't get their land. They might nice. Okay. So them talk to you personally and tell you that?
No.
That get me land sell, something make nice, or where the information they
No, but let me ask you something. If I call you up and ask you to sell me a piece of land,
yeah,
and you're willing to sell me, and then I change my mind,
yeah,
and so I say, boy, I don't need your land no more.
Yeah.
And you start to cuss me. You don't think that I could put 2 and 2 together and get 4?
No. But you say, let me go back to what you said just now. Yeah, of course, man. You can't put more than 2 together and get 4. But let me go back to what you said just now. If you call me up and tell me that you want me land, so this one may ask you now, so how you know? Well, this individual of course because get the land sell.
Well, but it's a obvious inference, because if you're gone from wanting to sell to now start to cost because the people tell you they're no longer interested in your land, well, that is an inference that I can make.
So somebody actually tell you that because remember you say you're not selling land, you're not buying the land, you're not selling the land, right? So somebody now would hint you for tell you, well, this individual land now, in the for sale, but because they change the boundaries now, the land of the for sale, so this individual start to make nice.
Well, but you heard me clearly. What you want me to repeat it? That is the conclusion that I've arrived at, based on the fact that 1 minute you have no problem and the next minute you have a major problem. Well, how come you only have a problem when the well run dry?
Yeah, so Premier Brantley, which I said, no, you're right now the action. You're right now the action with the land people and them and the land selling. Forgot all them information.
I'm not in any action. I don't need to be in any action. Right? If you're following the situation and following it clearly, even following what some of them have been saying. Right? They are saying plainly that people spoke to me and they didn't have any problem. But when the people stop speaking to them, they suddenly have a big problem and they start to tell other people, now don't deal with them because they're bad on the what list. Well, they weren't bad on the what list when they wanted to buy from you.
Well,
you just have to listen to people. You don't have to be close to any action. You listen to them.
Yeah, but
yes.
Remember, now the town hall meeting, remember the lady referred to one partner of yours and you say, keep her out of that. Which you know, they say that it's somebody that you say, keep out of that. I didn't want to make call around.
You're talking about you're talking about my wife?
No, well,
who you
okay,
talking about?
You want to put them the way they...
Well, me no know what you mean. What other way you going to put them? If you talk plain.
Right. So, you see, you involve your wife. Okay, so let me talk about your wife then. Right?
Me involved her?
Your wife, your wife made the realtor. Right. Then remember now, you say, well, you know your wife know your wife just how they do her thing and you do your thing. So then if you got them kind of information.
What kind of information? This is the second time you're alleging that I have information. I'm simply telling you that I've been paying attention to what people have been saying. Up to today, a lady say she was prepared to sell her land. But now she costing the project. Why is she costing the project if she was prepared to sell her land?
So this individual that up to today.
Yes.
Tell you now. Because of the boundary change, right, this particular individual now start to cost?
Well, but I am telling you that is my conclusion. From the information that is available, that is my conclusion.
You're a diplomat.
But we don't understand. Right?
You're a diplomat, eh?
I'm going to tell you now.
Okay.
Yes, go ahead.
Let me ask you one more and give somebody else.
Yes.
You're a diplomat. You're on round and round we go. Right? Yeah. But Premier Brantley, up front, remember that these people here that you talk about.
Yes.
None of what the land, none of what the sale all about.
Man, listen. My brother, you know better and I know better. Okay? If you have your car for sale, and I come and I say I want to buy your car, you gonna ask me what I want to buy your car for, what I'm gonna use your car for? We must stop trying to tell sensible people foolishness. Because I have never in my life heard anybody buying a piece of land have to explain to the seller of the land what they're going to do with the land. You're either selling... Wait, hold on a second. You're either selling your land or you're not selling your land. Right? Now, this red herring has actually been introduced. And the reason the red herring was introduced because a lot of you trying to protect somebody who sell them land, mind them first, so they never sell no land, you know. That was the first argument. If you remember, you like to tell me you remember everything. Them say they not sell no land. Then they come back now and they say, well, me never know what the land was going to be used for. So let me ask you this, Carl.
Yeah, go ahead.
Since it now seems that what the land is going to be used for is an important consideration to some people, the question that one must ask is this: did the seller ask the question, what will my land be used for? And if the seller did not ask that question, then the seller wasn't interested in knowing. If the seller did ask the question, and the people say, I'm not going to tell you what the land is going to be used for, then why did the seller still sell? Either way you cut it, you slice it, it's a bad argument. And I don't know why sensible people keep making this foolish argument about, oh, did people know what the land was going to be used for? Your land either for sale or it's not for sale.
You want me to chime in now?
Let me hear this. Go ahead and chime in, yes.
So let me chime in now.
Yeah.
Premier Brantley, the same lady that where he was accused of rumor.
Man, talk fast. You just take up time now. Talk fast.
No. Premier Brantley, no running from.
No, I'm trying to tell you, talk fast. People are holding.
Premier Brantley, the same lady, said that when he asked, and let me say no, your wife, because your wife can't occur. And he asked your wife what this project all about. Then if we're supposed to get some kind of meeting. And up to now the meeting and a pull off. And your wife does not tell you so she asked the question. She asked the question.
So I'm not.
No, that's why come to this class meeting, you know.
So,
and I ask you know.
Yes.
What development? You say you know what development. So you say so you know not all. You know then it's a rumor. Then she even tell you. Okay, since you want to play with the word, then we forgot about the rumor part. Forget about the rumor part now.
Caller, you starting to crack up. Hello? Hello?
So this particular lady asked the question. So one question was asked, what am I going to do?
Caller, I'm simply saying you're not making any sense, and the argument is still is not getting. No, but listen to me. The argument is not getting any better, because if I have my land and anybody approach me to buy my land, if I am interested in knowing what is the land is going to be used for, I will ask the question. If I do, wait, hold on. If I do not ask the question, that means I'm not interested.
But the question
hold on.
Go ahead.
If I do ask the question,
yes,
and the person say, I am not telling you, it's none of your business, and I still sell them my land, then what do you say about that?
No. Well,
what?
Yes, okay. That I want to deal from individual now.
Yes.
That no sell.
Yes.
Because the same lady, she got land over there. Stone man, aka.
Who same lady got land over there?
The same lady.
Well, the lady that you're talking about, the lady I believe you're talking about, land is outside the zone. So forget them argument there.
Boy,
right?
Remember at least see you.
Yes, go on, cause them need to send you a better script than that. Do you forget about that? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is On the Mark. We're having some fun tonight. It's Culturama. My caller here tried to sing a calypso. I tell him stick with talking, because I believe it's better than that. Let's go straight back to the phones. Good evening, caller. You're On the Mark. Hello. Hello.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening. You're On the Mark.
Yes. Mr. Premier, I want to engage you for a little bit. I need to lend my voice. Did you say that Destiny is offering to Nivision the dialysis unit for 2 years?
Yes, that is what I said.
And what happens after the 2 years?
Well, I've also said that it gives us an opportunity for us to now, as a government and as a people, determine how we're going to fund it after the 2 years. 2 years.
Okay. Are you aware that within that 2 years, the CBI is due to expire? Don't you think that we're going to have some serious difficulty funding that dialysis when we're in so much debt?
We may, but the bottom line is that in relation to CBI, Nevis was not heavily dependent on CBI in any event, because we were never, over the years, getting that share that we should have got. And when, by the time we started to get the share as a percentage, the CBI numbers had dwindled. So, in reality, Nevis has been forced to paddle its canoe the way it can, and that is what we are intending to do. That is why I've been talking about growing the economy, talking about doing other things. When I mention things like film, I mention the expansion of the financial services sector. I mentioned things like the online gaming sector that we've started. These are all efforts for us to get other revenue streams coming in.
So in your words, Nevis is not heavily dependent on the CBI?
No. We've been trying to wean ourselves off that. for sure.
Let's move on.
Yes.
Let me ask you: Did you help to draft the Destiny proposal?
Did I have to draft the Destiny proposal?
Yeah. Were you involved in drafting the proposal?
No, I don't draft proposals for developers. Developers draft their proposal and send it to the government.
Okay, so when the proposal came to the government, I remember hearing you say that you met with your cabinet, and at the time I heard you say that you said you gave Dr. Ju 7 days to respond. I think after the 7 days, he had to take a trip. And you did mention that when he came back, I think the following day, he would have responded. That did not happen. When you were asked about it again, you said that you expect him to respond. Well, we noticed that the music fest came along. To make a long story short, where are we exactly on the Destiny?
But I explained, perhaps you missed my press conference because I went into this in some detail. But Dr. Ju did in fact respond. He responded and he raised some issues. I believe there were 4 issues. This was after they had gone through a process with a committee on sink kits, and the matter had gone to the sink kits cabinet, federal cabinet, that he would have responded. Those issues that were raised, we then had subsequent discussions, and it led to a meeting that occurred at the Four Seasons last week, Wednesday, between the Destiny technical people, I believe the Honorable Attorney General representing the federal cabinet, and 2 individuals from the NIA cabinet. And they had that meeting, and out of that meeting, my advice is that they were able to settle those remaining issues. So the matter now, in fact, the federal government put out a press release indicating that the meeting did occur, and that they would now send the results of that back to their committee and then back to their cabinet. So we've been waiting to hear what the cabinet now has to say, because as I said, they would have written, well, the Prime Minister, the Honorable Prime Minister would have written to say these were the 4 issues that they had outstanding.
But since your press conference, I'm pretty clear that, pretty sure that Dr. Ju made another response that left everybody, like really wondering, because there was some great concerns that he had they were pertaining to who could play with lands.
No, caller. I think your timing, caller. I think your timing is off. My press conference was just, when was my press conference? I think was it last week? I think it was last week, Thursday or something like that. Was my press conference? I think it was Thursday. And I believe it was that same evening that the federal government put out a statement. There's been no further statement from Prime Minister Ju.
Okay, based on what the Mr. Ju put out after your press conference, where do we stand? Because it's very confusing.
Caller, it is actually not.
Where do we stand with the Destiny?
Okay, so I'm trying to tell you it is not confusing at all. The Prime Minister would have written to me indicating that having gone through their committee and their cabinet, there were 4 issues. He and I would have met, and that meeting resulted in a meeting that occurred at the Four Seasons between the different parties last week, Wednesday.
Okay. Let's move on.
But you say you're confused, so I'm trying to help you. You don't want to hear anymore.
Well, I think you're going to be repeating what you said.
But if I'm repeating it, calling, you're still confused. That's why I'm concerned. Well, why are you saying you're confused?
Okay, I'll do some research on that, because my question to you was based on he's saying that the lands, the Constitution does not give way for him to deal with Nevis lands, and only if a prime minister is from Nevis.
Yes, caller, but I'm trying to explain to you that those statements were made by the Prime Minister at some press thing that he had prior to the meeting that occurred last Wednesday.
Let's move right on, because I really want to get on to something
right,
with you.
I'll get there quickly.
And please engage me.
Yes, go ahead.
Can I ask, what year did you come into politics? Because I'm trying to get the year correctly. You remember what year you came into politics?
Yes, I got I was first elected in 2007. I came in after the government change. I came in opposition in 2006. Okay,
do you remember when you were fresh coming in that you you chose to call into a radio station, WSTA, in the Virgin Islands, and had
I don't recall. I don't recall, caller. I've called in so many places. I don't recall
ever calling into a WSTA.
I do not. I don't recall. I could have. I don't know.
Okay. Okay. Can I refresh your memory a little bit about it?
Sure. Make it quick.
Okay. Don't tell me make it quick.
Well, if you can't make it quick, then you're going to stay on the phone all night.
Let me move on.
Yes.
You call into the radio station and you had, if I can call it, maybe a little rant in that you were not allowed to go on NTV. You remember you saying that you weren't allowed to go on NTV?
I'm not saying I was not allowed to go on NTV.
You said you were not allowed to go on NTV?
As I said, I'm not saying it. That is the case.
Well, I'm telling you, that was the case, that you said you were not allowed to go on NTV. I remember clearly you were coming into politics.
Okay.
Okay. The host asks you if you ever asked to be on NTV, if you ever asked Mr. Parry to be on NTV, and you said no. The host went on to ask you, have you ever been asked to be on NTV and were denied? Again, you said no. Do you remember that you brought a case, I think it was in the null and void situation with the NRP?
Yes.
Do you remember that somewhere in that deposition that you brought back up the same thing, that you were not allowed to go on NTV, and you won in that section? It's in the deposition?
Yes. So,
from what I can remember and what happened, you got a win on saying that you were not allowed to go on NTV. Was that a truthful statement for you to win on?
Caller, courts deal with evidence. You don't win in court unless you can produce.
Courts deal with taking an oath and being truthful when you take the oath.
Yes,
courts deal with that. And I can clearly remember.
Yes.
I'm bringing this up to you because lately you have been talking a lot about integrity and all these things. Yes. Elections are coming up.
Yes.
And so we have to look for integrity in all of our candidates. NRP, CCM, PLP, the independent one.
Yes.
And so I am saying this because clearly when you were coming in, this thing is embedded in my head that you called and said you were not allowed to go on NTV, neither were you denied.
So what is the point that you're... Yes, the point that you're raising.
Strangely after you made that call into St. Thomas and WSTA, you went to court with the same issue saying that you were not allowed to go on NTV, and it's in the deposition.
And you say we won the case.
You won on that.
Okay.
You won on that.
All right, caller. So yes, caller. Go ahead. Can you finish now? Go ahead.
Was that a truthful statement? Because you know of the deposition.
Okay.
If you ever asked and was denied?
Caller, again, let me try to explain to you how courts work. You go to court. If you make an allegation, you have to prove it. The court is not going to make a ruling in your favor unless you have evidence that you can adduce in the court. And so that issue of the opposition during the reign of the NRP being denied access to NTV was proven in court. That is why the court. That is why the court ruled.
Denied going on NTV.
But I just said so.
And that is not. That is. You see, and this is why I choose to call in, because we have to vet our candidate. Well, and I'm vetting you, Mr.
Well,
Brantley.
caller, you can vet.
I am vetting you. Coming into politics.
Caller, you're not.
The first thing I could recall of you is your lie.
Caller, with respect. Caller, with respect. Okay, caller, with respect. This is always the difficulty, because once you all cannot get your way, you start to hurl invectives at people. I did not call you. I did not call you a liar. I don't even know who you are. You're going to call in and say that I'm a liar because a matter went to the court. I am trying to explain to you that when you... Wait, hold on. I'm trying to explain to you, caller, that when people go to court, they must go with evidence.
What was the evidence? What was the evidence there?
Well, the evidence was that the opposition was denied access to NTV. That was the evidence. Yes.
Were denied? Okay, Mr. Brantley. Anyway,
denied access to NTV. That's why the court ruled.
You first told me that you couldn't recall. I know you recalled. Because
caller, I'm speaking about the court matter.
Same thing.
The court
But
matter
when you said it,
was in 2011.
I asked you before if you remembered.
All right. Let us move on. Caller, thank you.
Thank
Thank you very much. You're being repetitive now and really unhelpful. So thank you very much. Let me just say, because sometimes I think in our zeal to vet, as you say, you're vetting, and in our zeal to feel that we're so smart that we catch somebody in something, I said to you that I do not recall calling into any radio station in St. Thomas, but I'm not doubting that I might have, because of course I've called into many radio stations all around the world. You then talked about a case. That case was 2011. You asked me when I got into politics. I told you 2006. You claimed that I made some phone call in 2006. That's 20 years ago. I'm saying I don't recall that, but I do recall the case, and in the case we led evidence to prove, caller, that the opposition was not allowed access to NTV. The court agreed with us and made the ruling. And you know what is interesting? The very NRP that you're defending tonight benefited from that ruling, because since then they are all over NTV making all kinds of statements. I recall that I did an ad for a little eatery here in Nevis, and the only part of the ad that I was in was I had a fork that went from the plate up to my mouth. It was an ad to promote the ladies' restaurant. And when the ad went to NTV, the lady was told, check out that piece there with he, otherwise the ad can't hear. I'm not making this stuff up. So when we try to call in now and pretend as if we're brand new, these are the realities. This was Nevis under NRP. So I hear your caller. I'm sorry that I don't remember a call you said I made 20 years ago. You said it's embedded in your mind. It looks like I've had a good impact on you. You remember every word I said from 20 years ago. I don't recall. But I remember the case. That was 2011, when the NRP candidate was declared null and void for the shenanigans that occurred in that election. You say you want to talk about integrity and vetting? Talk about the hundreds of divisions that were removed from the voters list on the eve of the election. Showed up with their voter ID and were told your name not on the list, you can't vote. Talk about that. Because that was one of the biggest tragedies that this island had ever experienced, where desperate men tried to hold on to power. Talk about the fact that for the first time in the history of our country, the court declared a candidate null and void and said the election was null and void. And not just the High Court, the Court of Appeal, 3 judges up there said the same thing. Let me use proper language. 3 judges said the same thing. You know what the NRP result was? I start to cuss the judge them now. They judge them biased and they judge them this and they judge them that. The judge them had to deal with thieving. You want to talk about integrity? You want to vet people? I never stole an election. People who stole an election went to court. And what happened? So that's the evidence. I know sometimes the evidence doesn't suit us, but that is the evidence. Let us go back to the phones. Good evening, callers. You're on the mark. Let's go. Hello?
Hello. Good evening, the Honorable Mark.
Yes, you're on the air.
And good evening to the listeners home and abroad. Carl Brown here. Honorable Minister, no take on to the lady there, so she not trying to listen or understand. She come with her own goals and intention in place and not to listen to the truth and the facts. The court rule, all she have to do is go online and set the date and pull it up, and then she will see for herself. Because you're not telling her anything that did not happen in the court. But she don't want to understand that, and she don't want to accept it. So here we go. Honorable Mark Brantley, question. NRP won the election in 2006. Why NRP was allowed to go on at least 2 years and plus over the election date and went all the way to 2013.
From
Could you
No, no, no.
answer that to me? Because
you're
if
confused.
you win
No.
2006,
No. You're confusing something. Remember, they won the election in 2006.
yes,
We then had another election in 2011,
Uh-huh.
5 years after. The election in 2011 was when all the bubble occurred.
yes, and the matter went to court.
Right, that's where that black fox was in Cox in 2011.
Yes,
So that matter went to the court, and the court ruled that the candidate and the election was null and void for NRP.
yes,
NRP appealed, and then the Court of Appeal ruled unanimously it was null and void.
yes.
And so
again.
the period from 2011 to 2013 was the period that the court process was taking place.
Oh, explain that, because me and someone from Nevis had that discussion.
Right. So while the court process was taking place, they continued in office
Yes,
in what we have referred to as the 18 null and void months.
yes,
Right? So that was the period that they were holding on, hoping that the court would rescue them, but the court said no. The shenanigans were too much. The election is null and void. It's 203 of my supporters that took off the list. 203 in the dead of night, and then say lose by 14.
I had that discussion, and I remind folks about that. So I say I would call the Honorable Mark Brantley tonight to let the Honorable Mark Brantley explain it, because there's a lot of faux and fooling and lying went on and still going on with that process.
Yeah. So that process there, let me tell you, it was a very difficult time here, because it was a level of desperation that Nevis had never seen. I mean, them fellas went through. You take a neighborhood like Cane Garden in Nevis, they take off nearly everybody name from Cane Garden. Just take off the names. I saw on that election morning, I saw people, grown man and woman, stand up in the line and cry. Ball long water, because they could not vote right here in the land of their birth. Right? So when the court tell them null and void, this is the first time in history. It's a dark period in Nevis's political history. And that is why sometimes when I hear these fellas pontificating, this lady say she talking about integrity. Where could the integrity of that party be when you try to thief an election? Try to force yourself on the people of Nevis. I mean, what integrity is there? You forced yourself on the people of Nevis, and the court tell you go home, go sit down. That is not the way democracy works. You can't thief an election. That is what happened. And it was during that case that we raised the issue that the opposition was denied any access whatsoever to the state-owned television NTV. And the court ruled in our...
I just bring up that for you to remind the last caller.
The court ruled in our favor. The court said yes. The court was satisfied that we had been denied access to NTV. Right? We couldn't even drive too close to NTV them days. Right? Nowadays the opposition on NTV as often as they want. No problem.
Amen. Hallelujah to that.
Absolutely. All right, my brother. Well, thanks a million.
One quick thing.
Yes.
Why is it that NRP keep crying out to the world, oh, CCM in government so long, and they ain't bringing no project to Nevis, they ain't bringing no foreign investment. But I want to briefly remind the listeners, you tried and bring forth, investors come, tried and bring forth the expansion of the airport to bring bigger flights and better business to Nevis. And who ball it down and who spread all kind of rumors on it? NRP. You went and you get back Liat to be coming to Nevis. You get flights from Tatola, St. Thomas, all about the place. And NRP had a problem with that. They now up again and to expansion. I remember, NRP went, oh, they want to take the people of Newcastle land and don't want to pay them. And I remember people don't remember the history, You brought the Destiny project to Nevis. Destiny applied to have a project done in Nevis. Many people, including in St. Kitts and the government in St. Kitts, have a problem with it. We have all kind of gated community in St. Kitts. We have Beacon Heights. We have all over the peninsula where it's blocked off by gates and security guards. You have to report to go down on the beaches.
Oh.
And sometimes you are not allowed. But nobody see that. Right? And those projects, we had one guy from over the Southeast Peninsula boasted he have some of the 6 or 8 best beaches in the Caribbean. They had all the government in St. Kitts millions of dollars, and they sold off the lands them over there. And what they pay. And the Prime Minister get on national radio and TV and the world and boasted they pay $5 million, and they need spit in the bucket what they owe.
Well, listen, I'm happy you raised it, because I called into a radio program as well as invited. Junie Libert called me and asked me if I could call in because he had, I think, Sam Condor and Mr. Martin, I think, Dr. Martin. They were on there and they were talking about. I wasn't listening to the program, but Junie called and said, could I call in? So I called in because I keep saying that there is a level of hypocrisy that is attending some of this. When you look at Christoph Harbour,
Hill.
Well, I want to stick with Christoph Harbour for a moment, because when you look at Christoph Harbour, 2,400 acres of land on the peninsula, right? And the developers of Christoph Harbour were allowed to get money from National Bank, and they were allowed to get money from the SIDF.
Yes.
Right? The same people who are in positions taking those decisions now trying to stop a project in Nevis where the people have not asked for 1 penny from government. Not 1 cent.
SIDF.
They're not asking for anything from us. As a matter of fact, the road, the Kennedy Simmons Highway that went into the Christoph Harbour, that area that is now Christoph Harbour, that was paid for by the taxpayers of the country.
Yes.
Right? These people.
And the same Labour government demonize it as the road to nowhere. And now it's the road to everywhere for them, including under Dr. Tenzin Douglas.
It opened up the country significantly, but let me tell you this, that in the negotiations in Nevis on Destiny, what did my government do? We said to them, hey, you have to put in your own roads, you have to put in your own water, you have to put in your own electricity, you have to put in your own waste disposal, because that burden cannot fall on the taxpayers of Nevis. Right? Every and drop of water, listen, water that is provided to Christoph Harbour is provided by the government. Electricity is provided by Skellig. The roads have been put in by the government. The garbage disposal, I don't know what they do over there, but I'm pretty certain that that is solid waste. Right? In Nevis, we look at all of that has happened, and we negotiated something that is far more favorable, and you have people sitting down telling you, oh, we want to stop that. It must stop, it must stop. So that's why I'm saying, these people are coming. The Destiny folk have not said that they want a penny from Nevis. They want a penny from any of our local banks. They're bringing their money with them. In St. Kitts, you had a project there which got money from National, you got money from SIDF. And yet you have people who are looking on, and all that you get is the criticisms. And
Indian can't pay back the loan.
Well, that's a different matter. Anyway, Carl, people are blowing up the line. I'm going to have to leave it here. Thanks for the call. All right, no problem. Let's go straight back to the phones and continue to take the calls. Good evening, caller. You're on the mark. Hello?
Is solid waste.
Hello?
In Nevis,
hello?
all of that has happened, and we negotiated.
Okay, this caller is busy listening. They're not listening to their phone. Caller, when you call in, please listen to your phone, because there's a bit of a delay. So if you're listening on the device, you're not going to hear me. All right, let's try again. Good evening. You're on the mark.
Good evening, Mr. Brantley. How are you doing?
Yes, you're on the mark. Go ahead.
Good evening, Mr. Brantley. This is Stucky.
Hey, what's going on?
I'm calling on behalf of NEFDC.
Yes.
It's that time of year again. This is now our 21st anniversary honors banquet. The theme this year is cultivating tomorrow, honoring innovation and leadership in Nigerian agriculture. And the idea is that we're getting together some farmers who we thought were doing innovative aspects of agriculture in Nevis. Some years ago, I think it was about 10 years ago, we honored the traditional farmers.
Yes.
So this year, our honorees are going to be Daniel Otterton, Ronald King, a.k.a. Banky, and Richard Paris. The event's going to be Saturday, September 26th, at the same location, Martin Crosswinds in Greenbelt, Maryland. Admission this year is going to be $140 for early bird, and after September 7th, it's going to go up to $150. Tickets can be purchased at nev-dc.org. And of course, the ticket price includes our most popular brunch, which will be held on the 27th, starting at 12 p.m. and ends when New York people leave. Entertainment this year will be full division. We'll have the Image Band, Abena Amri, Delhi, and Corey Massablu. Of course, there are going to be raffles and everything as usual. Rooms are booked at, we have rooms not booked, but we have rooms blocked out at the Holiday Inn in Greenbelt.
Mm-hmm.
I think online it's listed as Holiday Inn, Washington, D.C., but the address would be Greenbelt, Maryland. Those rooms are blocked out until September 7th, which is also the same date when the early bird pricing ends.
Yes.
So we're looking forward to having everyone, our usual supporters and new supporters coming, and we're looking forward to having a grand time this year.
All right, will remind us again of the date.
The date is September 26th.
September 26th?
Yes.
Yes. And the location?
Martin's Crosswind, Greenbelt, Maryland.
And the cost?
Cost is $140 early bird. After September 27th, it rises to $150.
Okay, and who do people contact if they want to get tickets or more information?
You can contact any member of NEFDC. Myself, Anthony Pemberton, the president, Derica Elliott, the vice president, and just any member of NEFDC.
Okay.
Obi, of course, is also a member. So yeah, I think I have a quite exhaustive list that I send it out to, so it's going to be coming out.
And could you take just a half a minute more to remind listeners what NEFDC does in terms of giving back? Why should people support your event? What do you do?
Our annual giving is we give to the graduating students at the primary schools in Nevis, where we go and we select the student that has improved over a certain period of time. We don't just pick the best student, the student who has been doing the best.
Yes.
We pick, say, a student from who's improved most between, say, grade 4 and grade 6, and we honor that student with a prize, of course. We also provide the tassels for all of the graduating primary schools in Nevis every year. We've been doing that since 2011, every year.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So we try to do our best, of course, with the funds we have. And the funds generated from these banquets, that's what we use to do what we do.
Okay.
We're a small organization. We punch above our weight in this area. And we try our best to give back what we get.
Okay. All right. Okay, good. So NEFDC then, big event this year, 26th of September, $140 early bird special. 150 gets you in if you leave it until the last minute. And remind me the address again. Sorry.
It's Martin's Crosswind in Greenbelt, Maryland.
Martin's Crosswind in Greenbelt, Maryland. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks a million. Really appreciate it. Hope everybody shows up and supports fully.
All right.
All right. While I have the mic, let me do something I should have done at the top of the show. I want to send a shout out to young Donovan. Donovan turned sweet 16 just yesterday. Donovan, if you're listening, happy birthday. This is coming from your grandma, Jean, your mom, Trisha, and the whole family. Wishing you a happy birthday, Donovan. He turned 16 yesterday, and he listens to On the Mark. So, Donovan, happy birthday. Happy 16th birthday. Let's go back to the phones and take some more calls. Good evening. You're On the Mark. Hello?
Good evening, sir.
Yes, good evening. You're on the air.
I'm trying to find out if the people of St. Kitts and Nevis will be able to use those roads that are supposed to be built by the project people on the south side of Nevis.
Well, of course. You use the roads. The roads will be inside the project if you have to be in there. If you live in there or you're working in there, you'd use the roads.
So they won't be building any roads like the one that they have on the Simmons Highway that people could drive straight through and go over to the other end of the island.
No, there's no road there currently.
Okay.
So that is not
okay.
that is part of it. Yeah. Thank you very much. All right, we're taking the calls at 869-469-1616 and 1700. Let's go back to the phones. Good evening. You're on the mark. Hello. Hello, caller. You're on the air. Okay, that caller doesn't seem to be there. Callers, we're asking for your patience that the phones are ringing again. Let's go back. Good evening, caller. You're on the mark. Hello. Caller, are you there? All right, I see the phones lit up again. Let's try this other line then and see if we can get somebody on the air. Good evening. You're on the mark.
Yeah. Good evening, Mark. How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks. You're on the air. Go ahead.
Okay, nice. No, Mark, I want to find out something. I heard you make a statement some time ago. That I don't know, maybe I could be quoting you wrong, but I heard you say about in terms of the dialysis machine in Nevis.
Yes.
That you are getting some, is an assistant or they are the one who building it, Destiny project, Destiny?
Yeah, the people who are the promoters of Destiny, when we were negotiating with them, they did ask if there was anything that they could do, and we said as a cabinet, could they build, equip, staff and fund a dialysis unit in Nevis? And they agreed to build it, equip it, staff it and fund it for 2 years.
So that's all they are doing for Nevis, or that's all you all asked them to do?
Well, we asked them to do that because they just wanted to make a donation. So that's the donation that we asked for. In relation to the actual project, then they're talking about a significant project, an investment that I believe is somewhere in the region of $1.2 billion.
Okay, fine. The other question I want to ask is this. When they ask what they can do, what time did you bring that to the people of Nevis?
I did not bring it to the people of Nevis. The people of Nevis elected us to engage on their behalf.
Yeah, I'm talking about the dialysis machine with the people of, the company people I'm talking about and the Destiny.
So the building was ongoing, but while the building was ongoing, we were still trying to resolve because we had what I would call a funding gap. What happened was that the initial proposal was less than what the final proposal became. So we had a gap, and that is why I didn't say anything about it initially. I did, however, I was on some show recently, and I was asked the question, and I said, yes, this is what was happening. And I then made a formal statement at my press conference that I had. So I would have made the announcement about what we were doing at that particular site.
So, okay, my next question now. After you brought that, let me put it this way, you brought it to the people of Nevis on the ear, whatever program it was. What feedback did you get?
The feedback that I have got, frankly, has been tremendous. People have been very happy. And as I said, the primary stakeholders, in my view, are the people who need that treatment, and those that I've spoken to are overjoyed.
So then my other thing now, Mark, is this. I'm taking another twist on what you just said there now.
Mm-hmm.
No, my grandmother always said to us, if you do not want somebody, you do not take what they have. You agree with that, right?
Go ahead.
The point I'm making, Mark, is this. How come some of the people, I wouldn't say all, but some of the people are crying out they do not want destiny. But yet still, they make up their mind to take destiny, or they're happy to know that destiny is assisting them with the dialysis machine issue. To me, I find that there to be a way hypocrisy in a kind of way.
Mm-hmm.
Because my thing is, if you don't want destiny, do not accept destiny good. That is how I'm seeing it.
Yes.
Because the whole thing about it, let me put it again to you, Mark. If you follow between St. Kitts and Nevis, for all the years you know yourself in politics and outside of politics, name one project, only one I want from you, that from the moment it brought to the people, you do not get a hard time. There's not one. For instance, I could even name out some to you in St. Kitts. When they were building the Marriott Hotel, they had a problem.
Mm-hmm.
When they were building Christopher Harbour, that was a problem. Even the latest one, let me look at even the Basque High School, that's a problem. Let me look at the second cruise pier. That was a problem. When I say problem, I don't mean problem in a sense that things will go wrong, but you will always find somebody to challenge it. Somebody will argue against it. So it reached to a point now, it's making me know to believe. Isn't it all about politics? Because that's the only thing I could say. It's all about politics. People would always argue over certain things. But when it's finished, I could bet my last cent. Same people who are crying now and benefit from Destiny Project, they will say this is the best thing ever been to me. Not my word, I may not be around to see it.
Mm-hmm.
But my grandchildren and children will remind the people of Nevis why I argue say I didn't want a Destiny Project, and no. The people who talking is who going to benefit, eh?
But Carl, I could tell you that in Nevis as well, there were many people who were opposed to the Four Seasons. There were many people who were opposed to the Bank of Nevis.
Okay.
Look at those institutions today. I attended the celebration, the 40th anniversary celebration of the Bank of Nevis, and I mean, the way that people were talking about this institution is the best thing since sliced bread. But when it started, many people refused to do business because they did not support it. So the reality is that what you're describing is human nature. I just feel that that is how people are. But like you say, once the project gets going, the same people will be surprised they've been the first in line for the jobs and for the economic benefits.
That's true. Okay, well, as I said, I wish you all the best. I wish Nevis all the best. You know, anything that you're going to do, as I say, do it in line of the Constitution. Make sure that everything's in line. Do not allow, as the argument outside there is this, oh, Destiny going to come in and run the show. And you know what I noticed, Mark, and I will say this one quickly. You know what I noticed? 9 out of 10, the people who argue the most is because they're weak, you know. Why I won't tell you that now? If your country has laws and you refuse to stand to the laws of your country, a man could come ahead and do you anything because what happened? They realize they could break the laws and get away with it.
Mm-hmm.
But if you stand firm to your laws of your country, let me tell you something, things will go smooth. And I believe most of the people them who are arguing, it is because they do not have the guts to stand to the laws and say, hey, this cannot happen in this country, that cannot happen. Right. But too many things get away over the years with politicians, with even individuals themselves. And because of that, Mark, you will always find people afraid of foreigners. You won't tell me 5,000-6,000 people come there in Sinkis and they come and run your show. Something is wrong with us.
Well,
good night.
All right, thank you very much. I think it also betrays a deep-seated inferiority complex, because people just seem to feel that others coming are superior to us and therefore will be in charge of us. I hear people talking about bringing back slavery and bringing back colonialism, and I smile to myself because I'm wondering who out there can colonize St. Kitts and Nevis again? Who out there can enslave the people of St. Kitts and Nevis? But you hear this nonsense that is being peddled because it is fear-mongering. And that is really what that's about. We have about 8 minutes left. Let's take this call. Caller, good evening. You're on the mark. Okay, we lost that caller. Let's try this one. Caller, good evening. You're on the mark. Hello?
Good night, Mr. Brantley. How are you?
Yes, I'm fine. Thank you. On the air.
Yes, I've been listening to your show tonight.
Yes, thanks.
And I should say, I'm quite happy to hear that Nevis will be getting a dialysis center. But my concern is, CCM has had 5 years in government. And why has this taken so long? You know, we spend money on the Mundo track. We spend money on various different projects. Like we got funding for the Pennies Park and so on. Why we couldn't get funding before for something as serious as dialysis? You know, I'm happy that it's happening now. And I thank you for doing that. But I feel like Nevis people should have got something a little bit more permanent. Like, for instance, a road over there on the south side so that we could drive over there and inspect what's going on in our country. And we could be aware and fully knowledgeable about what's going on, Mr. Brantley. Because the gentleman want to develop the south side of Nevis. Nothing is wrong with that. But all I'm saying is, we just want to be sure that when we want to go for a drive over there, nobody try to stop us. Now, Stoneman got some land over there. And me hear Stoneman calling on the radio a couple times and make night. If Stoneman not going to pay us for the land, allocate the land for Nevis people, and let, along with the government, the same gentleman, have an area, a village out there where we Nevisians could get to, close to them. You understand what I'm saying?
I'm listening to your caller. Go ahead.
Right, because if a man a call in and I make noise about land, and he don't have no papers to show, no document, you can't let a one man there stop hundreds of young people when they got no land yet. The development is good for the island. He gonna send current out there, he gonna send water out there, which is good. But I just feel like if the people was more involved, they would have been more for it and more with it. Mm-hmm. You try something with the dialysis while you're in power, which is good. You hear the cries of the people. Because a lot of people are crying about that. And you try to work out something. But I feel like we could have get more out of the deal. Because it's a big deal. He basically want to develop half of the island. Well, you said the boundaries change. So I guess it's smaller. But it's still a big deal.
Yeah, but caller,
and Nevis is a big deal.
Yeah, but caller, let me explain that the dialysis center is a donation that is made to the people of Nevis. That has nothing to do with the project, you know. Remember, from the project, there are some other benefits to flow.
Here you go, Mr. Brantley. I understand that. Okay. But remember, in life, nothing for free. In life, sometimes somebody will just come say, let me donate this to you. So they got this over you. So which in, sometimes donation good, and sometimes in a good neither, because we, Nevis, got enough money to do their own dialysis center, I mean, not the premier. But I would believe the amount of things when we see the CCM government do, a dialysis center would have been nothing for them to do. I don't know, because I mean, I watch numbers. I mean, behind the steering wheel, the helm. But all I could say is from things I see, when I hear how much a million spent down there, how much a million spent over there, which in the things where the money spent on is development, yes. But we got to look at what more important, what we got to develop first. You understand what I say?
Well, I hear you, but you will also
My
agree.
good friend Fitzroy will die. He a big supporter of CCM. And imagine Fitzroy done dead and gone. And after Fitzroy dead, now when the center have been built. And you know, sometimes, right, them kind of thing they kind of hurtful. You know what I'm saying? But it's a good thing. It is being done now. So even if Fitzroy get it, somebody else could benefit from it.
All right.
You know?
Okay.
But I feel like the man could have do a dialysis and finish Abbey Hospital, a dialysis, and get Abbey Oil and Main Road from Long Point to New River.
Okay.
We need a road
All right. Call, I hear you.
to go around there.
Okay, we're running out of time and have somebody else on the line. So thank you very
All
much.
right.
Let me go
Have
and
a
take
good
this
night.
other call. Caller, good evening. You're on the mark. Hello? Hello?
Hey, good night.
Yes, can you make it quick? We only have 2 minutes.
Okay. Yeah, man. Quickly. Someone just called me just now there and said to me that before CCM got into power, they had a dialysis machine right down in Nevis. I don't know about that, but I'm just telling you what they tell me.
Mhm.
The question is, if it is so, what happened to that dialysis machine? Is it was a old-time fashion thing, or was a top-of-the-line thing? And what happened to that dialysis machine issue in Nevis and to this day?
Okay.
That was put there by NRP.
Okay, thank you, caller.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have no time left. I believe that this show is coming to an end, and it's unfortunate. I always complain. Let's see if we can squeeze in this last caller for a minute. Caller, you are your last caller for the evening. Good evening. Hello.
Hey, man.
Yeah, you're the last caller. We have 1 minute. Go ahead.
Right? We want to let the people know that during the time of NRP reign, NRP said they brought some dialysis machines to the island. But the Honorable Brantley remind the people, and people could go back in the history. Did they send anybody overseas to train or down to St. Kitts to train?
Caller, we actually addressed that already tonight, you know.
Yes.
If you were listening to the program earlier, we went through that in detail.
Here's the thing. You brought in these, and then you have them sitting down. Time moving. Better performing dialysis machine set up and put in place. CCM win. They decided, CCM for about 2 years to 3 years and more, they sit down and they tell the world CCM got the dialysis machine them in a room or in a container and wouldn't set them up, and people are dying and all kind of thing. People are coming down to think it. People are going
Caller, the banner's struck up. We have to go.
Yeah.
I apologize sincerely.
Here's the thing. Now, Nevis has set up a proper dialysis machine with who could host 5 patients. We are happy to say congratulations. It's about time. Good night.
Thank you very much.
All right,
that's our last word for the evening. The banner struck up. It means we have to go. I'm so sorry because the last few callers were very interesting. I wish I had the time, callers, to engage. To the caller prior to this one, please, if you tuned in late to the show, listen to the rebroadcast tomorrow at 1 p.m. You will hear that I addressed the dialysis issue earlier, and I explained exactly why we could not proceed until this time that we have somebody in the financing that allows us to be able to proceed. So take a look at that, take a listen to that, I'm sorry, and that might help to clarify the situation. But I'm grateful to all who called in, all who were part of the show. It is 10 o'clock, it means we have to go. So thank you everyone. God willing, look forward to seeing you next week. And please, go out and support the remaining Culturama shows. See you on the road for Juve. We're going to have a good time. Thank you. Good night, and God bless you.
The views and opinions expressed on the preceding program were solely those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Nevis Broadcasting Company Limited or its advertisers.